You know, always the best plans go to fail.
Matt from the Random Maker here, and today we are here for part 2 of our arcade cabinet restoration. You've already seen it kind of in the corner on other projects because I have been doing this as parts and stuff has come in. I've kind of realized I'm not going to do an in-depth guide on how to build these, and the reason is I have an older arcade cabinet. I'm not starting from scratch. And so I'm making decisions based on what is available and what fits my context. I'm pretty stoked and I'm getting excited, so let's get working on this.
When we started the project, we dropped the arcade cabinet in a place that I could start dismantling it because we had other stuff going on in a corner of the shop. So then when I moved it, the areas we repaired are fine, but it just showed how much wear and tear this arcade cabinet had. So yeah, we're gonna have to replace a bunch of the stuff and kind of build a subframe in there, I guess would be the word. Okay, to get this black binding out, it's really simple. So I'm gonna get a small chisel and just be careful. Honestly, chisels slip. I've got enough scars and there's many other people. It's one of the most, I'd say, dangerous tools. And what you're gonna do is just run it along and pull it out. Now, the reason I like the chisel is it's got that sharp edge and I'm not digging, I'm just pushing up because what you do is you get an end going and just kind of pull it up because it's just a T-slot in there. And then I just like to go the sharp side up and then just work your way down. Keep my hand, by the way, behind the chisel end. And I'm just gonna rock it back and forth and bring the stuff up. And yeah, so I don't think you need to see me doing this, so let's move on. Okay, so when we pulled off the binding, I knew some of the edges are a tiny bit rough. It's not a big deal. I'm just gonna take some wood filler because I do want it to look square and nice because over time these edges get chipped away and stuff. And yeah, you can see what I'm doing there.
Okay, so now what you can kind of see is just me filling in all the little cracks, crevices, and making the sides as smooth as possible. And yeah, it's nothing that magical. Wood filler. Here you can see I'm just putting a front panel in. I'm using another piece of wood just to get it perfectly lined up. And you can see here I'm just stapling it in place.
As you can kind of see, we patched up that hole from the old foot pedal because we're not going to put that in. And with the new pieces we put in, we can see I just covered all the holes. So these are glued, pin nailed, glued in, same down there. Except with that one I put a piece in the back so that it's something to grab onto. And yeah, so at this point it's my most hated part, which is just more sanding.
Okay, as you just saw, I sanded all the sides. Let's just get that top coat of whatever off and to rough it up so that primer can stick properly and adhere to it. So 2 coats of primer and we're good to go. What I'm doing here is doing a quick sand to make sure everything's flush, and if there's any imperfections, this is the chance I can fix anything. It's really nice. Here I'm going to be removing all of the old inside and I'm going to be replacing it. Pretty simple. As you can see, it's also drying. So all I'm doing here is gluing and then nailing using other pieces of the thickness of the plywood I'm eventually going to put up so that I have the right thickness, and I'm just going to air nail it in, and the glue and air nails are going to make sure it's there. So what I've got here is a Craig pocket drill, and we're just going to use that to create a nice structural frame with screws. And yeah, I just like the Craig pocket drill. Great product. And yeah. Always triple check your measurements. I don't know why this was confusing me so much. Okay, this is just me cutting the back plates now so that we can get moving on with that. And yeah, nothing special, 3/4 plywood. Now what I am going to do here is I'm going to mark out and pre-drill all the holes so that I can set everything nicely there. I'm going to use a bit of cardboard to space it so that it's not exactly up. I'm then going to drill holes there, so that is where I'm going to set all my anchors. Metal anchor, pretty simple.
Okay, we can now see the whole back is actually secured and it is fully removable. So there's 4 screws into those anchors I kind of showed you. And so I can remove either the bottom or top. And the reason I didn't want to go one piece was A, these 3/4 inch plywood. Okay, it's not that heavy, but you get the idea. Number two, I don't really think I'm gonna be doing a lot at the top because that's lighting and it's actually easier accessible in the front. So I wanted something there, even though now we have like 3 braces throughout to keep it from tilting either way with the plywood. It just seemed like a good idea to have at least one piece solid. So yeah, boom. So we kind of ran into a problem here, and it's kind of a weird one. Now, I was copying most of the original design. Like, so there was an old plate here that got munched up, but so we replaced that. And I was gonna run the face and put an angle to match. Now, the problem I realized is it looks really goofy because the top plate here used to be metal, and I don't want to do that. So what I am going to do to solve the problem is I am just going to run a piece of wood in an oversized manner just to make it look more uniform. Because if I put a piece of wood, even with a cut, because like this is the thickness of the wood, like if I go here, I cut down, it's always going to just look goofy in my head. The only way I think to do it is I'm going to purposely overrun it by 2-3 inches. So that just sucks, but c'est la vie, that's the way it is. Yeah, so we'll keep going with that. The way this angle works, the plywood on here is going to end about here. Now, even if I go larger, I only have like a 2-inch to put all the buttons. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to skill saw this angle up. Okay, so we can kind of see now I've got it the way I think I like it. So what I did have to do is match these angles so they're super tight on the inside there. And I even, as you can see here, this is standing up straight. I've actually angled it on the back here, so it is a nice solid connector and it looks absolutely awesome. I'm gonna have to put this together because this piece right here is where what's gonna hold the glass in place. So I'm gonna make this dead solid so that I can take this out. Well, at least this piece right here. But yeah, all right, let's get going on this and let's get this in place. Okay, as you can see, I cut a piece that we're gonna use for we're mounting our monitor in, and then also now that this is dried, so we're gonna clean this up, just get the glue off. I'm still getting used to filming. I punched the nails in so that I can fill the holes. We're also going to drill where all the buttons go, and I just gotta figure out where I want the reset buttons. I'm thinking up here, but I'm gonna lay them out. Well, we're gonna lay them out and then I'll show you what I'm gonna do, but yeah, so I'm gonna remove these and actually get, cause it's really hot today, so I'll be able to get a couple layers in. I'm gonna remove these off to the side to our table and start working on these while also giving layers of paint for the bigger body, cause these stairway sanders are absolutely awesome for this because they don't take off a lot. And because at this point, I don't even think I really need to do it, but I want this to be as smooth as possible. So this really just scratches those imperfections with the paint because I'm not a professional painter. And yeah, I love using these for this kind of stuff. It doesn't really scratch up the paint really, except for just knocks any dirt imperfections up, and you know, trick of the day, I guess. All right, let's move on. Okay, so now that I've got, I puttied all the cracks on our game board so it looks like one piece. I've got our back panels painted white, so we get to do something I've been looking forward to so much. This is going orange. So I thought I would film the very first swipe. So, right. Oh my, I'm so excited. Okay, this roller, anticlimactic. We're gonna have to get a new roller, I think. Well, yeah, you'll see this one looks better. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, so we fixed that. I tried to use, I had multiple rollers. There was so much paint stuff just wasn't spinning, and I wanted to get this going. So, yeah. So one big thing, anytime you're using yellow, you always want to have a very bright undercoat. Otherwise, it never really works out well. And also, you're gonna have to do multiple layers. We can see here I put this dark spray paint on, and I'm kind of regretting some decisions at this point, but it's a latex. It'll be fine in the end. I'll just have to do coats, but as you can see here, we're gonna have to do multiple coats to get the final color I wanted. It's a little more yellow, but Whatever, it still looks really cool.
Okay, so here I'm just cleaning all the glue and stuff I put on here to try and hide any of the cracks and crevices, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And then we're gonna go back to sanding to make sure everything's nice and smooth, because that's the moral of the story. If you want it to look nice, sanding. I love sanding so much at this point with this project. It might have been easier to buy new wood.
Coat number 2. Okay, so I was dead right. It's so hot here that by the time I got everything done, coat 2 is, coat 1 I mean, is already not tacky. I'm probably not gonna do more than 2 or 3 coats because even though it's dry, it's not fully cured and you don't wanna start layering on that. And so yeah, 2, maybe 3, I'm probably gonna stop at 2, just air of caution, but the only reason I'm more willing with 2 is because, like, we can see here, it's not full penetration yet. You can kind of see where I used the spray paint to hide some lines, and good news, it worked perfectly. So, really good. So I'm just gonna take a drill and go.
I made a quick pattern here so everything's spaced out neatly. Here you can see me laying out where I'm gonna put my anchors that the brackets and the top is gonna attach to. Here you can see me drilling holes while in front of the camera. I'm still very good at getting in front of the camera because I get focused in on what I need to do. And yeah, sorry, but yeah, drilling, putting anchors in, pretty simple process. You can see here I realized I needed to put some more bracing in. Now, this part here is just for the TV. We're cutting out a whole of a sheet of plywood, well, melamine, and we're gonna put the TV right in the center. You can just see me here laying out exactly where I want to put it because I want it to sit perfect with my cabinet. This is the point where I did strip out all the plastic from the TV, and what I did is I put after cutting the hole out with a jigsaw, I just put the TV flat there, spaced out, and put some wood bracing around the metal edges. I then took some all metal and basically put it in an area where it was not going to be touched by any electronics, and that's what's holding the TV in place. It's very snug, very secure, and you just have to be incredibly careful. Each TV is going to be very different, so this worked for me. Your TV from a thrift store might have different mileage. So yeah, this is how I did it. Super simple, super easy. Yeah. Okay, here is all you are going to need for there. You're going to have buttons. I just bought them off Amazon. There's the controllers with all the boards and wires, and yeah, pretty simple. Now, what you can see me doing here is installing each of these buttons. Very simple. Pull it through. You're going to want to put the wires through the little plastic case, screw it in so it can't move, and then clip in the actuator. Okay, just do that hundreds of times. Next, you're going to pre-drill holes that lines up your controller because you want that to be perfectly up and down, or else things are not going to turn out well for you. And make sure, test that it's perfectly straight. As you can see here, I'm just putting more in and connecting into a board, and this board is what's actually controlling everything. You can see me here putting in lights now, and yeah, I just kind of installed those in. I'm going to connect them up to a later, but yeah, I just wanted them in permanently. You can see me here now just cleaning up. It's a good idea now that we're at the end stage of this to just vacuum out the cabinet, and I'm giving the old coin collector a good dust off. I might get it working later. Currently, it needs some love, but that's a future project. You can see me now starting to put the board on. It looks really good, and underneath you can see it suck in.
Okay, so I am inside the arcade at this point, and what I'm just doing is I'm going to start putting things in its place, okay? And, well, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put things in place, and I'm gonna plug everything in and actually get to play for a bit. I'm gonna leave these wires hanging and stuff because at this point, I just wanna make sure everything works. You know, we did a couple tests. We did some tests before I took the TV out of its case. I did a test of all the electronics here to make sure I got our Raspberry Pi all programmed up and working in the house before this. The whole idea is we know everything works together, okay? So I'm not starting from scratch. At this point, it's seen, is everything, moving and stuff, like we took the TV out of the case. I had to move everything and electronics can be finicky, so we just wanna make sure everything works perfectly. So I'm just gonna do a very quick solidify of everything. So let's get moving. I have sound, I have videos, and I have a working arcade cabinet. So we still got a little bit to do. So for example, I want to clean up the electronics on the inside now that I work, install the coin slot, glass. We're actually going to use some vinyl around here. I'm really excited, so I'm going to enjoy for a few minutes before we get on to the rest of this. Go away. Yay!
Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're wondering why there's been such gaps, is I'm kind of getting stuff as I can. So I'm rushing and then stop, rush, stop, as you've seen them in the film. So this is part 2 of probably the 3-part series of this. And yeah, if you like this video, once you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you have any comments, ideas on future projects you want to see from the Random Maker, or to tell me I'm doing something completely wrong with electronics, probably right. It worked for me and mine, but that's not always the best. What do I need to say? Well, I guess we're going to go with, until next time, let's get making.